We're thrilled to get started with our season tomorrow night against Northern Colorado. These games, when you start the year, it always feels like in the spring it's like light years away, and then time goes quickly and all of a sudden it's here. So we have a counter in the locker room that counts down the days until our next game. And so today it says 1 day and however many hours and minutes, and our guys are chomping at the bit. Our focus over the last few weeks has been an extreme focus on carryover, trying to take the stuff that we talk about in practice and work to implement on the practice court into a game situation. We had 2 scrimmages that we played, closed-door scrimmages, where we had a certain measure of success of carryover, but certainly we want to keep getting better. We tell our guys all the time just to put the focus on what we can control. And now that the season is here, that includes really dwelling on what matters as opposed to all the things that don't really matter as it relates to winning. Our guys, have been really good in practice with their work ethic. We have been a little banged up. Gerald Liddell is recovering from a concussion. He's in the protocol. He's not been cleared yet, but we're hoping to get him back very soon. Have had a bunch of other guys that have had little bumps and bruises, but as of today, everyone else is cleared to practice, so excited about that. Again, focus has been on our guys continuing to grow, and that should not and cannot change now that games are here, and despite circumstances, whatever circumstances come up. So that's been a huge push with our guys, and they've done a really good job owning that to this point.
Questions, please. Raise your hands. Gents on the front right.
Coach, you might have addressed this in the previous media veil, but on Andruw Jones, how much time should you expect him to play? How is he looking to you, all of that?
He's done a great job in practice. He got done with his last treatment in mid-September, and we started practice in late September, and he's made a ton of progress and growth since then. How much will he play? I think it's still dependent on the game and how he plays, and obviously relative to other guys on our team or on the opposing team. But he's earned the right through the way that he's played and the way that he's approached practice to be in our top 6 guys. He's going to play a significant amount as of tomorrow, and we're excited about it.
Brian on the front left.
First quick one, Gerald, did he fall or get a screen, or what happened to him?
He got hit in the head. I think he took a knee to the head. Our guys have been going at it pretty hard, so we've had a lot of those type of collisions. Fortunately, he's the only one that suffered a concussion. That we had a couple other guys that we were concerned about that, but they got tested and didn't have that. So that happened last week. Actually exactly a week ago, and he's gotten better and better every day. But as you know, there's a set of steps that he has to undergo to be cleared. I won't go as far as saying exactly where he is, but he's making progress.
And then, bigger picture, obviously you've talked a lot about how Matt and Courtney need to be, the leaders and lead this thing all the way. Now that the season is here, are you convinced that they're ready to do that?
Well, ready or not, here they come. It's going to be our team's going to go as those 2 guys go. Unfortunately, they've not been able to practice together a lot because Courtney was out for a few weeks with a wrist injury. And then the day he came back, Matt had a small injury that held him out for a few days. Yesterday was the first day in over a month where we were able to say, hey, Matt and Courtney and Jace, you guys are on a team together and really work on that. So that hasn't been ideal, but I love the fact that when the ball goes up in the air tomorrow, those guys are going to be out there together. And we do need to continue to work on those 2 guards playing well and being their best together. Courtney has a very strong personality. It's important for Matt to still be the best version of Matt. even while he's out there playing with a strong personality like Courtney's. Courtney is all about winning. He really competes at a high level. And I think those guys have that in common. They both care about the same things. And I think as they continue to gain experience together, they'll get better together.
Roger in the right.
Shaka, when Andruw got sick, there was no manual for you. Now you're coaching him as a player, but he is what he is as far as his history. I'm curious the emotion, the roller coaster of dealing with this guy and what he's been through, yet coaching him like every other player now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning, Roger. I believe the last time he played, like really played, was December 5th of 2017. So it'll be exactly 23 months since he's really gone out and played significant minutes for Texas. And a lot has happened during that time for him off the floor. The way that he's handled this whole ordeal has been phenomenal, and I think it says a lot about his family, his upbringing. So when he goes out there and goes in the game tomorrow night, it's going to be very emotional. It's going to give, I think, a lot of us a feeling of appreciation and just enthusiasm for the fact that he's back out there doing what he loves. How to handle it with him coming back. Like you said, there's no manual because he's not the exact same as what he was, but he, in some ways, is better. He's wiser. His jump shot certainly didn't go anywhere. His understanding of certain things is more, but he's still working his way back physically for sure.
Kirk in front, please.
What was Matt's small injury?
He just had a little hamstring strain that held him out for, I think, 3 or 4 days.
So who's your one and done this year?
I don't know that we have one this year. I mean, those things can be hard to predict. I wouldn't necessarily have predicted Jackson at this time last year, although he was starting to do things in practice that were like, wow, he's different. I think our 3 freshmen are very talented kids. They are guys that can really become terrific players at Texas and then actually have the potential beyond college to be very good players. But that's a process, and everybody's process is different. I've never seen someone improve as fast as Jackson Hayes did. Jared Allen's probably a close second. Those guys kind of have that in common, that they just get better a little bit quicker, and it's almost not fair. But I would say right now to put that type of expectations on any of our freshmen or any of our guys is not really realistic for them. And so our goal is just to help them be the best players they can be now and here. And then just like any other player that's gone from Texas to the NBA, the goal is they want to be terrific players here first, and that's what gets the attention of the folks that want them at that next level.
On your front right, Mark.
Yeah, Shaka, back on Andruw, is he at the point where he would be judged for playing time like anybody else, or do you still have things you have to look out for that are unique to him and his situation?
No, I mean, he's evaluated as a player the same way as everybody else. Like I said, he's earned the right to go in a game and play significant minutes tomorrow night. Now, with all of our guys, they have to continue earning that, and it's not something that's in the past tense. It continues, but medically he's cleared. He's gotten himself in really good shape. He practiced all year last year with us, but there's a definite difference between him now and where he was, say last winter. Just physically, he's further along. Again, that being said, he still has some room to grow to, gain a little bit more strength back and get all the way back to where he was. But we can't put any timetable on him for that. That just will go as it plays out.
On your left front, Dustin.
How's the front court responded since I think a couple weeks ago you basically told those guys, hey, all these roles are TBD? Has anybody kind of distanced themselves? And what do you need to get from those guys collectively?
Well, that's a great question. We continue to have tryouts, and that will continue throughout the next several weeks. I mean, on one hand, you want to establish a rotation, and you want to give guys the opportunity to be out there and get in the flow of the game. But on the other hand, guys have to understand there are certain things you have to do on the floor in order to earn the right to be in the game. I'll give you an example. We were scrimmaging, one of our opponents a little over a week ago, and we gave up some offensive rebounds. And one of the bigs was in the game, and his man, gave up an offensive rebound, so we had to sub him out. And then another one went in, and then his man gave up an offensive rebound, and he had to come out. And so they need to understand what's going to go into them creating success for our team. Jericho, we have an award that we give out each week with our guys called the Domino of the Week. And Jericho won that yesterday for the way that he practiced in the 4 days we practiced last week. So I would say if we picked one of those guys that's quote-unquote separated themselves, he's been the one that's done so. But again, as we know with Jericho, he's got to carry it over in the game, and he's got to do it in real time with a lot of stuff flying at him, a lot of things happening. But he's definitely gained a sense of maturity and, is taking some steps in some of the areas where we needed to see him progress.
On Jericho, when he feels like he's needed, it seems like he's elevated his play, going back to when Mo got hurt, when Jackson got hurt. Does he kind of get that sense now that there's a real opportunity for him? Yeah,
that's a conversation that we have a lot. We need you, man. And his teammates have done a good job of conveying that to him. I think those situations that you're referring to were very specific. I don't know that it's necessarily the same as saying, hey, we need you this year. But the way we've tried to approach it as a staff is here are the areas that we're going to hold you accountable to in practice. Here's what we're going to demand out of you. He's responded really, really well. He's growing in confidence. A lot of it is believing and knowing that you can go do it. And he's a lot sturdier as a person, I think, further along with his development. Hopefully it's a good sign. He has not in the past played well in scrimmages. And in these two, he was much better than he's been in the past. He didn't set the world on fire, but like in one of them, he had 9 rebounds in about 20 minutes. So hopefully that's a good sign that he's moving in the right direction.
In the front to Bob.
2 questions. First, just how has Royce progressed over the last few months, and what's his role right now? I know they're all in tryouts, but
Royce is battling away to make the biggest impact that he can make in kind of a 3-headed monster we have at the 5 spot with Jericho and Will. There's certain things that he brings to the table that really help our team, that he showed some really good glimpses of during our NIT games, and that's what we want him to bring out of himself every day. He had a very good summer practice. Since we've been going the last 6 weeks, he's had some terrific days, and he's had some other days where he's not been as good. So the conversations that we have, that our staff has with him, are about owning these 3 or 4 key areas where we need him to be good in order to be out there on the floor. He loves Texas. He loves his teammates. He takes a lot of pride in being at this place. And there's something to that. And so now it's about going out and going after whatever it is that we want him to go do and that he wants to make happen, as opposed to trying to avoid a negative result.
And then second, just over your first 4 years, the goals and the things you tell us have stayed very consistent, becoming a better version of yourself and all those type of things. Where do you think as a coach you've grown, and how much have you changed over these 4 years?
Well, hopefully as a coach you grow every year, whether it's a great year, whether it's a tough year. I think, the biggest thing, I mentioned this, I believe, last time we talked, for me is understanding, I don't know that it's unique to here, but it's certainly important here, is that for our team to be consistently good, we have to be player-driven. And there has to be times where we've put the structure in place and we provide the guidance, but you have, whether it's one player or 3 players or however many guys, really grab the steering wheel and say, hey, this is what we're doing. And when we've been at our best, that's what we've done. When we've not been at our best, we've not had enough of that. So just, I think I've grown in that, or learned in that, trying to create that dynamic is paramount, to success here. Also, probably not trying to micromanage, everything. There's a lot of things that go into the job of being a head coach, and there's certain things that you got to hire someone that's really good at it and then let them do their job. And try to do more and more of that, particularly this year. So those are probably a couple areas.
Do you have that with this team? Do you have that player driven? Do you see it at times?
We have to this point, but again, the big word we use all the time is circumstances. It's easy to be really connected as a team and have good chemistry in August or September or October. There's no games. There's very little adversity other than what we create in practice, and there's no results. I think when results come into play, both team results and then also the individual results in terms of how well do I shoot, how well did I play, how am I being perceived, what's being said about me on social media, and the big one, how many minutes did I play, that can affect guys' ability or willingness to stay connected or to be player driven. And so our job is to manage that and navigate that, and that changes every day. I mean, depending on if we're coming off a big win, are we coming off a challenging time? That's probably one of the biggest components of what we're trying to do.
On the front left here with Chip.
Shaka, what is the, did you say the Domino Award?
Yeah, we say Domino of the Week. We have one of our cultural principles is everything we do is a domino, and the point of that, and we got a big picture of Mo Bamba blocking a shot at Oklahoma a couple years ago, is that, all the actions that these guys do, whether it's in the game or off the court, anyone in our program, those things have consequences, both positive and negative. So it's an award that we give out each week. It's an internal thing. It's not something we're beating our chest about, but just to say, hey, this guy did a really good job this week, or it might be a specific instance. We had a scrimmage where Brock Cunningham guarded Matt Coleman and just completely flustered him and really bothered him, so he won the award that week. But it's just a way of recognizing what we're trying to promote.
And can you talk about the impact that Andrea has had?
Yes.
And how maybe she's contributed to the culture of the program?
She's been great. She's obviously, in terms of her expertise, she's second to none. She does a really good job thinking through and planning what is the best thing to do with the individual player, because our guys are so very different. I mean, training Will Baker versus training Jericho Sims is like apples and oranges. She's really added more of an element of technology to our training, which is something that she brought with her. And as you mentioned, the mental side of it is something that she's really into. Every day when the guys walk in the weight room, and we spend significant time with her before each practice, they see a quote up on one of the TVs, and that quote is always about connecting the mental to the physical. So she does a really good job of staying with and connected to the guys where they're at and that kind of stuff. She's made a really big impact. I think the biggest impact from her is going to be long term, but I do think from day one she's helped guys.
Brian in the front.
Can I go back to the front court for a second?
Yes.
You've had very good rim protectors, these last few years, and blocks and things like that. Who of these guys is going to be your best rim protector, or is that something you're still trying to evaluate?
We're figuring it out. I mean, Kai Jones is probably the best shot blocker on our team. Jericho's capable of blocking shots, needs to do it more. Royce can. We don't have right now someone that's doing it at the rate of a Mo or even a Jackson. But our defense has changed to some extent, and that we're trying not to let the ball get in there as much. That's going to happen some. But the goal every possession is to force tough twos. And if we can do that and take away the three-point shot, I feel like it gives us a great chance to win.
And I want to ask you defense too. I mean, it feels like there's this perception that Luke is here to fix something that isn't really broken with y'all's defense. Your defense has been solid every year, but what has he done to change things, or his approach, or how is he improving it?
Well, I mean, I think in any aspect of what you do, even if it's really, really good, you still want to get better. And at times in the past, our defense has been really strong. There's been other games where it hasn't been as strong. So we want to get more consistent on that end. And, you know, when we hired Luke, that was a big part of our conversation. Was I wanted him to come in here and have the freedom to implement, you know, what he wants to do on defense. And so we've spent a ton of time together in the summer just talking about different philosophies, terminology, and he's done a great job implementing that with the guys. And again, it's November 4th. I mean, we want to continue to get better. We're not in midseason form yet on the defensive end or the offensive end. That being said, you know, I do think our guys have put a lot of time and energy into learning some of the things that are a little bit different. And for November 4th, you know, I think that's put us in a good position. Now we need to go carry it over in the game.
Dustin in front left.
You don't see many guys at this level redshirt, you know, like Brock did last year. How much did he grow from that, and how do you see him fitting into the mix? It seems like you know pretty good idea what you have at guard, but the rebounding, the defensive versatility, seems like he could carve out a pretty big role.
Brock's been great in a few ways. One, he plays harder than anybody on our team. Two, he is getting better and better at knowing his role, and he doesn't mind having a different role. I think that's one of the challenges for guys that get recruited to this level. You know, everybody might look up on the wall and want to be that guy or that guy, but you know, that might not be what's best for you or what's best for the team at that moment. So Brock has been our best offensive rebounder. He's been very, very good on the defensive end. On the ball, he's taken on some real challenges. So that makes him a little bit different, and that's allowed him to carve out a role. You know, he's been a starter in both of our scrimmages. And we've had a guy out in both of those, and I think, you know, you might see the lineup change at different times early in the year, but he's going to play significant minutes as long as he continues to do the things that have separated him.
Any other follow-ups? First in front.
Any conversations you've had with Chris Del Conte, what is he expecting out of you and this team this year to move forward?
Chris has been great. He's been extremely supportive. You know, we've talked a lot about our team and how we move forward, and coming off of the end of last year, how we want to grow. Obviously, there's been a lot of conversation about infrastructure, you know, growth in our program. With facilities, and you know what he's doing there is phenomenal. In terms of expectations, I think he wants us to continue getting better. I think he wants us to take a step from last year, which the obvious step from you know how we finished last year is playing in the NCAA tournament. And you know when you play in the NCAA tournament, your goal is to advance, and you know that's no different than you know what our goal would be in any other year. But you know certainly. That's a huge emphasis for us. That being said, it's November 4th, so our focus is on being the best we can be today in practice. And then tomorrow's game, we play Northern Colorado. They're coming in here. They've got some really good returning players. They like to shoot a ton of threes. We need to do a great job taking those things away and being the best version of Texas. We tell our guys all the time, focus on what's important now. And, you know, far be it from us as coaches to tell our guys to do that and then us not do it. So we know what our goals are. We know what we want to do at the end of the year, but the most important thing is focusing on the present to improve on a daily basis so that we can get there.
Last one to Mark on the right.
Was Liddell competing for a starting position at the time?
Yeah, Gerald's been terrific. He's our most improved player from last year, and I think that he is a phenomenal example of a lot of these guys come in here, whether they're highly ranked or not, and they don't understand certain things that go into being successful as a player at this level. That's understandable, and that is common. And that was Gerald. And so what he did last season was he systematically worked behind the scenes without complaining, without taking a bad attitude. He did a ton of extra work. Jay Lucas deserves a lot of credit for that, what he did with him outside of practice. And he got better and better and better. And by the end of the season, the last few weeks of the season, he was capable of being a good player in our rotation. Since then, he's improved quite a bit. I would say for the first week or two of practice, he was our best player. Best player. Hasn't been quite our best player since then, but he's certainly been one of the top 4, 5, 6. And yes, he has been a starter in both of our scrimmages. Obviously, he's been sidelined. Being in this concussion protocol, when he gets back, he's someone that we're excited about playing major minutes.
So he is not ruled out for tomorrow night yet?
He's in the process, but he's got a couple more hurdles he's got to clear. So, and as you know, that's not stuff you can really speed up. But we feel good about getting him back soon.
Thanks all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.